Every time your phone tells you exactly where you are, it's relying on a correction Albert Einstein predicted decades before satellites even existed. Turn that correction off, and GPS would drift by about 10 kilometers a day. Not feet, kilometers. GPS works by timing. Each satellite constantly broadcasts the exact time down to the nanosecond according to its own onboard atomic clock. Your phone picks up signals from several satellites at once and compares the timestamps. Since radio signals travel at the speed of light, your phone can calculate how far away each satellite is just from how long the signal took to arrive. Get distances from 4 or more satellites, and your phone can triangulate its exact position on Earth. Here's the catch. This only works if the clocks are perfectly in sync. A timing error of a single microsecond translates to a position error of about 300 meters. So the entire system depends on those satellite clocks staying extremely accurate. This is where Einstein shows up uninvited. Relativity tells us that time doesn't tick at the same rate for everyone. It depends on how fast you're moving and how strong the gravity is around you. And GPS satellites experience both effects at once. GPS satellites orbit at around 14,000 kilometers per hour. Special relativity says that the faster something moves relative to you, the slower its clock ticks from your point of view. Because of their speed, satellite clocks run slightly slower than clocks on the ground, by about 7 microseconds per day. At the same time, general relativity says clocks tick faster when gravity is weaker. GPS satellites orbit about 20,000 kilometers up, where Earth's gravity is much weaker than at the surface. This effect is stronger than the speed effect, and it makes satellite clocks run faster, by about 45 microseconds per day. Combine both effects, and satellite clocks end up running about 38 microseconds faster per day than identical clocks on Earth. That sounds tiny. It isn't. Remember, 1 microsecond of error equals roughly 300 meters of position error. So 38 microseconds of drift, left uncorrected, would create a position error of about 10 kilometers. And that error gets worse every single day, compounding as the clocks drift further out of sync. If GPS satellites simply launched with normal, uncorrected clocks, your phone's location would be off by city blocks within hours and entire kilometers within a day. Every form of navigation that depends on GPS, flights, ships, rideshare apps, emergency services, would become unreliable almost immediately. So engineers don't fight relativity, they plan for it. Before each satellite launches, its onboard atomic clock is deliberately tuned to run slightly slower than a normal clock on Earth, by almost exactly the amount relativity will speed it up once it's in orbit. Once the satellite reaches orbit and both relativistic effects kick in, that pre-adjustment cancels out almost perfectly, and the clock ends up keeping time in sync with clocks on the ground. It's a correction built in before the satellite even leaves the launch pad, based entirely on equations Einstein worked out in 1905 and 1915, long before anyone had a reason to apply them to satellites. So the next time your map app pinpoints your location down to a few meters, that accuracy only exists because engineers took relativity seriously enough to build it into the hardware. Pure theoretical physics, quietly running in the background of one of the most used technologies on Earth. If you want more of these, technology you use every day that secretly depends on physics you were never taught, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.